One day, Yen Si saw a very auspicious planetary alignment. Curious, he sought news only to discover that the Venerable Lao Tzu had decided to leave his position at the Royal Archives and renounce the world. Yen Si hurried toward the mountains, searching for the wise master, afraid that his wisdom would be lost forever. His quest was finally over when he caught up with Lao Tzu near the Hankou Pass. Yen Si humbly approached Lao Tzu and said, "Revered sir, you are such a wise man and these are such troubled times. Could you write just a few words to help man understand the nature of things?" Lao Tzu was so moved by this plea that he immediately sat down on the prayer rug that Yen Si provided for him. Then, with the stroke of his brush and a handful of bamboo sticks, the spiritual masterpiece referred to as the Tao Te Ching came to be. This book of 5,000 words contains powerful insights into the nature of all things in the universe. The Tao is considered by many the most powerful teaching the world has known. Please join us this week as we look into the Tao of Compassion. Welcome to Aspire as we continue in our spiritual effort towards the heart of the Tao. This is going to be one of the most special out of the series. We're going to be working with the Tao of Compassion. Let me again read to you number 62 in the Tao, which represents the Tao of Compassion. Tao is the source of 10,000 things. It is the treasure of the good man and the refuge of the bad. Sweet words can buy honor. Good deeds can gain respect. If a man is bad, do not abandon him. The Tao of Compassion. That's an easy one. All we have to do is feel sorry for people. And it's easy to know who to feel sorry for. People in pain, the homeless or hungry, people who really don't fit into the mainstream of our society. Maybe this isn't so easy. And the picture changes again when we think that we are being spiritual. Then our compassion takes on a whole new meaning. Now it isn't just the poor who deserve our sympathy. When we think that we are so spiritual, we can see that some people just don't understand what life is really all about. Some people don't know what they are doing is wrong. But we can have compassion for them, for after all, they just lack the true understanding. And we can forgive that. They're only human. Interesting. Why is it that some people think of weakness as human? But the Tao does not describe being human as being weak. In fact, Lao Tzu would have us believe that truly being human is the goal. All we have to do is understand that we are all human. It isn't spiritual to pity anybody. That just leads to comparisons and judgment. But what spirituality really is, what compassion really is acceptance. Now, just because we accept that we are all human does not give us permission to let our emotions run rampant. We must accept all aspects of our humanness without being caught up in any one part. So we accept others where they are, without focusing on their problems or their apparent misfortune. Rather than seeing anyone as being or having less, we need to see that all share the same humanness. If we feel the need to be charitable, perhaps we can give more to them by accepting them. Charity is not compassion. Sympathy is not compassion. We very often expect something in return for what we give. Compassion can have no strings attached. Compassion can have no expectations. Compassion is acceptance. The Tao is the source of 10,000 things, as the Master was trying to teach us. And to get to the source of it, we must be as the source is. The source is only one thing, no matter what we want to do with it in the form of intellectualizing it. The source is love. An unconditional love like we cannot imagine in our own mind. We have a problem with the Tao in this country. It's not because it's an ancient scripture, different maybe from the ones that we are used to reading biblically. But we have trouble with it because it is soft and it works from the heart, less from the head. We've invented religion in this country. One of our great inventions to the world, I think, has been the idea of religion. It has kept us in our head. It has kept us guilt-ridden. It has kept us fearful. And sometimes when a softer teaching comes by, even some of the soft and beautiful teachings of Jesus, we miss them because we are not in the Tao. We are not recognizing the spirituality of it. You know, one of the most difficult things to do in life is to recognize the spirituality of life. It is very difficult because it requires us to go to the heart and not to the head. Here's the key. Religion is concerned about how you behave. Religion is concerned about how you act. You can act in certain ways, behave in certain ways that religion deems as being proper or even right. And yet, as Jesus said, you can clean the outside of the cup, but if the inside of the cup is filled with wickedness, then nothing that matters around the outside of the cup is of any consequence to your life or mine. Religion is just trying to teach us one thing: how to act, how to behave. Spirituality is teaching us to recognize who we are. Not what to be, but who we are, and then to allow ourselves to be who we are. Who are we? To answer the question sometimes may sound very philosophical, even intellectual. It would probably defeat my own purpose in this program and my own purpose with you. But I will say this: you are the unconditional love of life, of God, of the Tao. You are only one thing. You are love. But you will never find that through intellect. Religion teaches us to memorize scriptures, to spout off, to act in certain ways, and I say there's nothing wrong with that. It teaches us the great art of futility. It teaches us the art of our mind and how clever it can be. And after a while, we begin to see that that doesn't get us anywhere. I know there are a lot of people, maybe like you, who are willing to take a deeper step in their own spirituality. And if you are, then you will find the first step towards the unconditional love that is God is taken through not intellect, not picking up the Tao and reading it and memorizing the scriptures that are in it. The Tao is a flow. It is a movement. It is life itself. It is not something that you can fake. It is not something you just read. It is something that you must be with. It is a presence. And that first step to the presence is called compassion. I cannot emphasize enough the word compassion to you. I will give you a little definition about it. In the West, we think of compassion as being the whole concept of sympathy, maybe even feeling sorry for those people who are hurt. That's not the point. Compassion is simply this: it is your ability and my ability to see the effect of ourselves upon our own life. It is for me to see how I am through the way I am. And the way I am creates my experiences. An example. Maybe you have someone who is a problem in your life. You think they're a problem. The real problem is not in who they are, but in what they reflect in you. And they're showing you something about yourself. The people who are a problem to us are really not our problem. It's how we are with them. The consequence of ourselves is being mirrored back to us from that person. We are beginning to see how we really are with people who are different than ourselves. Compassion is the ability for me to see the effect I have upon my own life, and that everybody in the world is doing the very best they can with where they are. Mine is not to criticize them or to try to change them, but mine is the ability to see myself in everything that they do. Compassion, it is so very important. because every single one of us makes mistakes in life. You know, a lot of people who are very religious are also, of course, very guilt-ridden. And the only reason they're religious is to try to overcome their own bad feelings about themselves. There's nothing in that, my friend. No matter how badly you may feel about what you've done or what you've said, in the sight of all that is, nothing's going to be changed through guilt or anger or frustration or fear or self-neglect, self-abuse. Will not change. What will change is when you and I have the compassion to see where it all came from within us. I'm going to be very open with you. In my life, in the beginning of my life, I felt very critical about anyone who didn't think or believe the way I did. I was no better than any other religious fanatic in my own way, although I've always been in metaphysics. And trust me, students in metaphysics can be just as fanatical, just as intellectual, just as hard-nosed, just as critical as those in maybe a more orthodox belief. But then I began to work with this thing called the Tao. And I began to find out that everyone is right where they should be. I'm not here to change them. My compassion to be able to see my faults, my shortcomings, my mistakes is the most important thing in the world. I am not here to degrade myself, berate myself for the mistakes or, as the Tao said, the sins that we have created in our life. The object is simply to see, where did they come from in me? What is it about me? Maybe it's because I've never learned to love me. Maybe it's because I've never accepted the idea of the infinite nature that indwells me. Maybe it's because I hate my humanity. And if you hate your humanity, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we make. Humanity is a vehicle for spirituality. It is, so to speak, the fires that we must pass through to become so pure inside that we find that we don't need a body anymore. You should honor your humanity. You should not look at it as sinful or degrading or bad, because it's not. It's simply a vehicle. It's a tool. It's a device that the divine may flow through us. Compassion is so very important. It allows us to see ourselves in the light of who we are. Drop all the ideas that you think you have to memorize every scripture that ever came along. If you think that you're a smart person because you can memorize, that you can theorize, that you can doctrinize all of the ideas that you've read in the Bible or even in the Tao, you've missed it. The Tao is not a doctrine. The Bible really is not a doctrine. It is, too, the flow of life. You can find the Tao in anything that is spiritual, and all of life is spiritual. All you and I have to do is be open to it. Compassion. Stop trying to be so right. Stop trying to be so religious. Stop trying to be so smart. Spend some time opening yourself up within. You just might find that that compassion within you will take you to some places in your humanity where you might find some things in you that are not comfortable, don't feel real good all the time, but let yourself pass through that. Have compassion upon yourself. You can make mistakes in this life. You can understand the consequences of yourself upon your own life without having to be punished for your mistakes. As you begin to take this journey within yourself, you find that your heart becomes open. You find that it begins to open up to the values of life. Because the real value of life is not in the things that you know, not in the faith that you talk about and are so convinced about. It's in the silent knowledge that you have deep within your heart. You are nothing but love, unconditional love. And the only thing that stops us from understanding that unconditional love is the mind that we hold to. Allow the Tao of Compassion to touch your being. Namaste. And now let's take a moment to move into the unconditional, the Tao of Compassion. Compassion is the first step in the Tao. It is the first step to bring us to the heart of the Tao, the very essence of it. And if we are compassionate, we will find a spirituality within us that is very unique. Now, the concepts I want to give you here are the how-tos. And please remember, you can't memorize these. I will give them to you as suggestions. If you practice them beyond your mind, not looking at them as intellect, not looking at them as technique, but just as ways of going about gaining the softness that allows the Tao to come through you, then they will benefit you. The first thing is simply this, and please remember, when you look at another person and you are judging them, you are analyzing them, or you are criticizing them, don't feel bad about yourself. Please understand, you have a humanity. Don't try to say to yourself, my humanity is sinful and evil, and I'm a bad person for having it. Your mind is going to run through many scenarios about the things that you believe in, the things that you think are right, the things that you think are wrong. Don't let that bother you. Simply allow yourself to have the opportunity to allow your mind to judge and analyze and criticize everything that goes on, but watch. Watch, non-critically, how your mind is setting up problems for yourself. Because the moment I judge you as a bad person, I'm starting to set up a karmic effect in my life. I'm starting to set up a resistance between myself and you. And that is not creating the balance or the harmony that is necessary for me to find compassion in my own life. So first of all, look at your humanity. See it. Humanity is going to make mistakes. Humanity is going to make drastic mistakes, simple mistakes, but they're not going to be life-ending mistakes. Mistakes are made. Just begin to see where the mistakes come from in your own life, in your own being. Maybe it was the way you were raised. Maybe it was the way you were taught to think. Maybe it came from somebody you respected a great deal. Let me pause right here and just say this. You can heal a lot in yourself by doing this. Judge not. And that is my second step. Begin to see that everybody in life is nothing more than a mirror of yourself. In other words, people come into our life, sometimes as pleasurable people, sometimes as not so pleasurable, but they come into our life to help us see ourselves. Respect every person for the mirror that they are of the reflection of ourselves. You know, there are some people who we are around who just bring out the very best in us, and we appreciate that. And then again, there are some people who come around in our living who seem to bring out the very worst in us, and that should be equally respected. The object is not to judge them and to look at them and go, I don't want to be around the people that bring about the worst in me, and I only want to be around the people that bring out the best in me. You live in a world of many different types of personalities, people, and origins. Learn to understand that what you see in others is what is within you. And if you see something in yourself that you don't like, have compassion. It's there. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Begin to see it. Begin to see where it comes from. And in seeing where it comes from and in understanding it, believe it or not, it begins to dissipate. It begins to fall away. Like leaves on the tree in the fall, they slowly fall away. It all depends upon your ability to see those faults without criticizing them, judging them, and being harsh and analytical. The last step. It's a very simple one. Everybody has their drama to play in life. Everybody comes into our life for reasons. Don't negate the drama. If the drama is there and it is teaching us something, don't hate it. If you hate where your life is right now, you'll keep it, as the Master said, unto eternity. Don't hate where you are. Be where you are as you are. Be in the present. Even if it hurts badly at this time, best to have that heal you, that pain forge away the impurities of you, than to try to ignore it, deny it, or affirm it away. Believe it or not, pain has its place in our life. It is the baptism of our heart. The Tao. It is compassion and it is love. And it brings us to the deepest point of ourselves, to the unconditional love of our being. You've heard that song, "What the world needs now is love, sweet love." Well, maybe it's true. I think it needs unconditional love. But before we'll ever get to the point where we have unconditional love, we're going to have a lot of compassion. I think this program was one of the most important ones I've ever offered. Compassion. It is the ability to see the consequences of ourselves in our own life and in others. And before you start thinking that you've done your work in this world because you've given to charities or because you've done some good deeds, begin to understand that they mean nothing in the light of compassion. Compassion is the first effort that we make towards God, towards the unconditional side of our nature. We have to have compassion for all people. Compassion is the ability to see that everybody is right where they should be. I am right where I am, right where I should be in this moment in my life. And there are others in this world who we would look at their life and maybe choose to feel sorry for them for where they are, and we are wrong for that. Compassion is the ability to see that they need to be right where they are, learning the lessons that they are learning, just like I am learning the lessons I am learning, just in the place that I am in. I'm in no greater place, and neither are you, than somebody who sleeps outside, than somebody who is homeless or hurt. We all are where we should be, and we all have definite lessons to learn. The person in the gutter is no different than the person who stands before you on television this very moment. We all have an opportunity to work in God and to be in God, and it can happen at any moment. So please, when you think of love, sweet love, don't think of the love that, well, is emotional, sentimental, or romantic. Love is unconditional, and the love of God is unconditional. And it allows me to stand here before you and other people to live a lifestyle that is suitable to them, all in an effort to get to God. For all of life is getting back to God. Namaste.